Terrell, you still there? First time caller?
Yep, I'm still here.
Okay. And how old are you, Terrell, if I may ask?
23.
Oh, okay. What you might not know is prior to the civil rights movement, that most black people identify as Americans. They were not into the African thing. They saw themselves as Americans because they were born here, or their ancestors came who are now Americans, and because of that, they had a great love and appreciation for the country. They owned businesses. They got along with their fellow man. They were not separated from white people. But then the civil rights movement came along, and once Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated, and he had a message of overcoming evil with good, to love your fellow man, and that we are all Americans. But Jackson and others, once Dr. King was assassinated, Jesse Jackson and others changed that message from love to hate, and they started giving black people different names like Afro-Americans, whatever other names they used to call themselves. And then they started teaching black folks that they are not Americans, but they're African Americans. And the reason they did that, in order to keep you angry that they might control you, because if you don't identify with your home, you're not going to feel like a citizen of your home. You're going to feel like a stranger in a foreign land. But if you are...
Can I interject right there really quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
You kind of just contradicted yourself a little bit.
Go ahead.
You said that in terms of our ancestors, they were taught that, they were now African American. They were now Americans. Basically, you're saying that they were something before they became Americans. So what is that something?
Well, way back when, there were blacks brought here. They came here. They weren't American citizens at the time.
And my question is, where did they come from, Jesse?
Once you start, they came from Africa and different parts of the world. But
does that make us African then?
No.
How does that make us African? They came from Africa, and we are descendants of them. That makes us African.
You can see yourself...
America,
Terrell,
the idea of a country...
Terrell.
By the way, I want to say one thing. The idea of a country is man-made. Your genetics are within you regardless. We were something before 1776, the inception of America.
Terrell.
We were Africans before we came here, so you can't just strip that. I don't like the term African American myself. I would admit that.
Do you use it?
I use it because of the fact that I need to identify as something.
Why do you need to identify with that?
Because I understand the difference between, like I said before, I understand the difference between race, ethnicity, and nationality. Nationality-wise, I'm an American. I have no problem with admitting that. But if you look at my ethnic background, America is not an ethnicity. America is not ethnicity. America is a country. You can't say your ethnicity is America. You're ethnically African. This is the whole idea of genetics versus nationality. It doesn't mix.
Terrell, if you want to tell folks that if your ancestor came from somewhere else, that's fine. But it's not smart to identify as an African American when you were born here and you are an American. I agree with that.
I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm
so
saying
then
that
why do you even?
I'm African. That's what I am.
But you're not.
African.
You're an American.
I am. Ethnically, I'm African. Nationality-wise, I'm an American.
Terrell, are you a Christian?
No, I don't. I don't really believe in God the same way that other people do.
Oh, do you believe in God?
I do. I believe in God as an essence, not how we personify. Not as an essence, not how we personify God.
Stay with me.
Yes, an essence.
Hold on. You believe in God as an essence?
Yes, not as how we.
What
I don't
does that
believe in
mean?
personifying God.
What does that mean as an essence?
More as an energy, as a vibe, instead of personifying God as a man. I worship the sun, the moon, the stars, and life. I don't believe in personifying God.
Terrell,
God is not a man. If you need,
Terrell, how do you know he's not
God,
a man? How do you know he's not a man?
Because if God was If God is in the essence, then he's not really your God.
How do you know he's not a man?
How do you know he is a man?
No. You can't do that. You said you don't believe he is a man. You said God is not a man. I'm asking, how do you know he's not a man?
Okay, let me say this. I don't believe in personifying God, and I don't believe that God is a man, because we're not the only species of animal on this planet. I've never seen a cheetah in church. I've never seen a gorilla praying. I've never seen a fish reading the Bible. You can't tell me
Terrell,
that,
how do you know that God is
God is not.
Terrell, how do you know that God is not a man?
That's just my personal view on it. I know God's not a man. How can we personify this?
I'm sorry?
You cannot personify the creation of life.
And
just down to a human value.
How do you know that?
To answer your question, I don't have any 100% proof of it.
So then you're not sure?
I'm not sure. I can admit that.
Then why do you sound like you're sure, so sure, when you're not sure?
Because of the fact that that's just my personal view on it. I can't say that I have any proof of it. Nothing in life is 100%.
But let me just tell you, so were you raised by your father and mother?
Yes.
You were raised by your father. Who were you closer to?
My father.
Your father, was he weak or something? It sounded like he was weak.
No, my father's a very strong man. My father grew up in D.C. very poor. Got his way out of poverty, gave me a good life, and I'm well off because of it today.
That's not a sign of being strong.
What's your sign of being strong?
Because the children of the lie can do that. Satan will give you some stuff and make you feel good. Your father, if your father was a strong man, he would have been a man that loved God with all his heart, soul, and might, and been that example for you so that you can see through him that there is a God and he is of the masculine nature. But your father has failed you, and now you're confused, and the stuff you're saying are insane.
So you're saying that so God's a man, right? But I've never seen a man give birth. Women are goddesses, in my opinion.
And why do you say that? Why do you say women are goddesses?
Women give birth. Women control life.
How does that mean that they are goddesses, though, if they give birth? How does that make them goddesses?
You're saying that your God created the sun, the moon, the stars, and the earth. I'm telling you that my women, more specifically black women, are giving life. Your God created life, in your view, the same way that women create life in my view.
That's insane. Women don't create life.
Where does the baby come from, Jesse?
It come from the woman's body, but she didn't create that life.
Who has the egg? Who has all the mitochondrial DNA? Well, not all of it, but most of the mitochondrial DNA.
You know what? You're being dishonest about your father. You more identify with your mother.
Let's talk about genetics.
You're more identified. Hold on, Terrell.
Wait.
Terrell, hold on.
More mitochondrial DNA than sperm does.
Terrell, I'm going to let you go if you continue to speak over me. You're more identified with the woman. Your thinking is female. Your emotions are female. The way you think is female. For you to say that the woman is a goddess just because she have a baby is insane. Just because she has a baby is insane.
You can never create life.
No one can. No man can.
No man, including God, can't create life.
Including women. Only God gives life and only God takes life. Women don't do that. You've been deceived. Your father, so either you're being dishonest about having your father there, or he was a very weak man. He wasn't a man that helped you develop your masculinity. You're more developed as a woman than you are a man, mentally and emotionally, and you don't know it. I'm sorry?
What do you view masculinity as?
Because you have rejected God as a masculine spirit and accepted a so-called goddess spirit. That's insane.
How is that insane?
Because if you have been raised by a strong father who loved God with all his heart, soul, and might, you would be thinking like a liberal female.
So are you telling me that I shouldn't have accepted any of the lessons that my mother taught me?
I'm telling you that you should not have taken on your mother's identity, and you have. So was your father in the home?
Yes, I was raised by both my parents.
And so did your mother rule the home or something?
No, my father went out. He worked. My mother mostly took care of the house.
Because you told. Do you realize now that you think like a woman and not like a man by saying that the woman is the goddess? That's ridiculous.
I'm a very strong black man. I
No,
do
you're
think
not.
like, I don't even understand
No,
this
you're
whole
not.
idea of thinking.
You're not a
look
strong
at,
man.
But let me tell you something.
You
Jesse.
have
We're
the
talking
mentality of a woman, a
about,
liberal
Jesse,
woman
men
at least.
in terms of psychological breakdown, men and women are 90% alike.
Where's your?
We don't have a lot of differences. You're creating a divide that is not there.
You
We
know,
90% are alike.
Terrell. I
This is fact.
understand where you're coming from. You're lost. You pretend confidence, but don't really know what to do. You don't know what you're doing. You've been
So
misguided.
what am I doing wrong, Jesse?
Keep listening.
I'm a college graduate.
That
I'm
doesn't
a good
mean a
person.
thing. So is
I'm
Obama.
successful.
And Obama has turned America into a ghetto. That doesn't mean anything. That's part of the problem, that you're a college graduate and you're living on the intellect, which is deceiving you.